Imagine this. Every day, thousands of people risk everything to cross the U.S. border, fleeing violence, poverty, and political turmoil. Meanwhile, the U.S. government faces mounting pressure to secure the border and reform its immigration system. In 2024, the immigration debate is fiercer than ever. But what's really happening at the border? And what are the solutions to this growing crisis? Let's break it down. Section 1. The State of Immigration Policy in 2024.
Nicaragua or Haiti. Stay where you are and apply legally from there. Starting today, if you don't apply through the legal process, you will not be eligible for this new parole program. One must have a lawful sponsor here in the United States who agrees to sponsor you to get here. Then, that person has to undergo rigorous background checks and apply from outside the United States and not cross the border illegally in the meantime. If they apply and their application is approved, they can use the same app, the CBP-1 app, to present at a port of entry and be able to work in the United States legally for 2 years. That's the process. But if their application is denied, or if they attempt to cross into the United States unlawfully,
the Biden administration has faced a complex challenge since taking office, trying to balance security and compassion. One of the most significant changes was the end of Title 42 in May 2023. This pandemic-era policy allowed for the rapid expulsion of migrants to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But its expiration led to a surge in border crossings, testing the limits of U.S. border security. To manage this influx, the administration introduced new measures, including the CBP-1 mobile app, designed to streamline the asylum process. However, these efforts have sparked controversy. Critics argue that the policies are either too lenient or too harsh, depending on who you ask. Section 2. Border Crisis by the Numbers. Let's dive into the numbers. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported over 2.4 million encounters at the southern border in the last year, one of the highest in recent history. The migrants are coming from various countries, with significant numbers from Venezuela, Haiti, and Cuba. This surge has led to a humanitarian crisis at the border, with detention centers overwhelmed and border towns struggling to cope. The sheer volume of arrivals has pushed the immigration system to its breaking point. Section 3. The Political Battle over Immigration. Immigration policy has become one of the most polarizing issues in American politics. On one side, Republicans are calling for stricter border security, including the reinstatement of the Remain in Mexico policy and more resources for border enforcement. They argue that the influx of migrants poses a security threat and burdens the economy. Meanwhile, Democrats are advocating for a more humane approach. They are pushing for comprehensive immigration reform, which includes pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants and protections for DACA recipients. Their focus is on addressing the root causes of migration, like poverty and violence in Central America. Section 4. Real-world impact on border communities. The impact of immigration policies isn't just felt in Washington. It's affecting real communities on the ground. Border towns are dealing with overcrowded shelters and stretched resources. Local governments and nonprofits are struggling to provide support for the influx of migrants. Meanwhile, asylum seekers face long waits and uncertain futures as immigration courts are overwhelmed with a backlog of over 1.5 million cases. Section 5. Challenges and controversies in current policies. Despite efforts to reform immigration, the situation remains challenging. Critics argue that current policies are inconsistent, leading to confusion and chaos at the border. The resumption of border wall construction in certain areas has also sparked controversy, with opponents questioning its effectiveness and ethical implications. At the same time, human rights organizations are raising alarms over conditions in migrant detention centers, highlighting issues like overcrowding,
Mr. President, I will seal the border. I will send them all back to their
abuses.
countries where they belong.
Voters are looking at former President Donald Trump's policy points ahead of November. At the Republican National Convention in July, the GOP officially adopted their platform, making their #1 policy point to, quote, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion.
Trump's immigration policy has one big headline that was very visible at the Republican National Convention, and it is mass deportations now. There were literally signs saying that, held by hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of delegates on the convention floor.
PBS News correspondent Lisa Desjardins has covered Trump since 2016.
Trump wants to find millions of undocumented immigrants in his country and deport them.
The millions of illegal aliens pouring into our country under a border, Azar, Harris, are coming from all sorts of places. They're coming in from prisons and from mental institutions, and they're coming in as terrorists.
He still does talk about immigrants in a way that is subhuman. He talks about them as though they are animals, talks about them as though they are an invading army, when we know, in fact, that according to the Department of Homeland Security's statistics, a large portion, and sometimes the largest portion, of undocumented immigrants who are encountered at the border are families. You know, this is not an army of people at all. This is not an invasion force. He says it's a security risk, and Republicans say, yes, we think that that kind of crackdown is what we want. This idea that you would round up millions of people across the country is something we have not seen any kind of precedent for in the modern age. It's a policy that the former president is clear about, but it is one that has many question marks about it, with huge implications for all of American life. Whether people are undocumented or not, and it is just not clear exactly how he would carry it out.
As President Trump invoked Title 42 in March of 2020. It's a federal rule that allows the president to take direct action in a public health emergency.
Title 42 is used during the COVID pandemic by former President Trump to shut down the border and deny immigrants of many stripes entry into this country, to slow down the entry to this country on the basis that there was a pandemic.
This rule led to nearly 3 million expulsions from 2020 to 2023. President Joe Biden kept the rule in place until May of 2023.
Title 42 is something that former President Trump would like to invoke again. He says he can do it in a more sweeping way, but it remains to be seen exactly what that means.
Another presidential action like that could mean denying a path to asylum for thousands of migrants who cross the border illegally.
We shut down asylum fraud. We stopped human trafficking and forged historic agreements to keep illegal aliens on foreign soil. We want them to stay on their soil.
Former President Trump would like to dramatically change the asylum system so that it is even further blocked for anyone to use. He essentially wants to shut down the border in all kinds of ways, many of which will have to be tested in court if he wins the presidency.
Trump.
Section 6. Possible solutions and future directions. So, what are the potential solutions? Experts suggest a multi-pronged approach. One proposal is comprehensive immigration reform that includes a clear pathway to citizenship and a revamp of outdated visa policies. Another solution focuses on improving border infrastructure, increasing personnel, and investing in technology to better secure the border. Others argue that addressing the root causes of migration, like economic instability, crime, and climate change in Central America, could reduce the number of people seeking to cross the U.S. border. Section 7. The human side of the story. At the heart of the immigration debate are the stories of real people. Families looking for safety, children seeking a better future, and individuals risking everything for a chance at the American dream. As we continue to debate policies, it's crucial to remember the human side of this crisis. So, what do you think? Is there a solution to the immigration dilemma? Should the U.S. focus more on security or compassion? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into today's most pressing issues. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.